Hello guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Joshua Benjamin Ali, the CEO of JBA Consults. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 10 tips that is personally that I apply that helps when it comes to phone sales for 2024. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. If you find this information is going to be useful to you, join us, and then I believe you'll be able to get some tips and tricks when it comes to phone sales. Now, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the company, and then we will then proceed to get started. Now, who are we? So JBA Consults basically is a dedicated B2B sales outsourcing company. We've been our specialists have experience for over 7 years. I personally have been into sales for over 7 years. Now we deal with a lot of things which has to do with creating sales strategies, sales training, lead generation, call center outsourcing, whether it's customer support, whether it's technical support outsourcing. And we help you to be able to create your sales structures using CP, IBP. So basically that is generally what JBA Consults does. Now, let's proceed to the next slide. So this being our first video, basically we're excited to be able to share quite an exciting topic with you, which has to do with the mastering the art of phone sales. Now, a lot of times people do find it difficult to be able to get on the phone and make a sale or something like this. And this is just some tips and tricks that I've used over the years that have actually helped boost my sales journey. So whether you're a seasoned professional or you're just starting out, I believe that these tips and tricks will help you to be able to take your confidence level to the next step so that you'll be able to communicate and connect more with your customers and then also be able to close deals. Now, the first tip is know your product. Now, everybody does understand this because in order for you to be able to sell something, you need to know what it's about. So know your product or your service. So in this case, what you want to do is to make sure that whatever you're going to sell to a customer, you understand it clearly. So you have a passion for this. You understand what it's about. And in so doing, puts you in a position where you're able to sell it properly to the customer. So first things first, talking about it. So whether you're selling the latest smartphone or a budget-friendly option. Now, what we did here is we're using the phone. So let's say, for example, you're selling a phone as kind of like a brief or an example for you to be able to understand how to be able to proceed with the sales. And that's the reason why I put there or the example as a phone. So in order for you to be able to sell this particular product or the service, you need to understand, for example, the features, the benefits. Those are very crucial things that you need to know about that product or that service. Now, in so doing, gives you the confidence so that when you get on the phone and you're communicating with the customer, you know what you're talking about. And it's very important that people take note of that whenever you're trying to be able to do a sale. So know your product and know the service. And that is tip number one. Now, tip number two, active listening. Now, a lot of times people tend to neglect this. People think that you're actually doing it, but in reality, you're not actually doing that. Now, active listening, I would add the word proactively, because for you to proactively to be able to understand or do something, that means that you're exploring all other options or all other areas in order for you to be able to do it. Now, that being said, what does this exactly mean? Now, what it means is this. I'm trying to sell a product or a service to a person. And in so doing, I'm trying to understand what the customer's needs are. So it's not just about listening, it's also about understanding their needs. And in so doing, you're able to ask some kind of probing questions, open-ended questions, so that you can have a fair idea or a complete scheme of the idea or what the customer needs. And in so doing, puts you in a situation where you're able to then proceed to actually do the sale and be able to close that sale, because now you understand what the customer wants. So it helps you also to be able to build rapport and allows you to highlight features that align perfectly with the customer's wants or needs, or what exactly it is that you're looking for. So tip number 2 is active listening. Now, tip number three is build rapport. So in the earlier slide we just saw, it had to do with active listening, and then also has the aspect of building rapport. Now, in order for you to be able to build rapport with the person, you're listening to the person, and sometimes they say certain things, or they do give you a lot of information when you actively listen to them, and that gives you the opportunity to be able to move to the next step of building the rapport. So here, it's essential for sales interaction, especially when it has to do with it being over the phone. So be friendly, be genuine, and show empathy towards your customers' needs. Now, establish a connection that goes beyond just selling a product, and people are more likely to buy from someone they trust and feel comfortable with. It's very important that we take this into consideration. I do understand there are certain instances where people are not very good when it comes to relating with other people, but it's something that you can learn. If you learn this, I believe that it's going to cause your sales journey to move to new heights than you even expected. So that is tip number 3, build rapport. Now, tip number 4, effective communication. So it's communicating clearly, or clearly articulating the value of that product or the service that you're offering. So you address the customer's concerns, you highlight unique features. What makes you unique? What makes you different from the others? What makes your product or your service different from what he can get from other places? And explaining those benefits to the customer and what it would be able to do for that customer. And in so doing, you're able to communicate effectively that information to the customer, thus putting you in a situation where he or she is able to understand the benefits of working with you, or the benefits of actually going with you. So that is tip number 4. Now, the next is tip number 5, product demonstrations. Now, product demonstration basically has to do with, for example, in the case of the phone, you want to demonstrate what kind of features it has. Now, it's very important to make sure that you're demonstrating key features that are specific to the wants or needs of that customer. Not everything. So you're focusing based on listening, actively listening to the customer. You understand their concerns, you understand what it is that they want. And then in so doing, you end up being in a situation where you're able to then demonstrate what exactly they're going to get from you. And then you then add on top of that the other benefits that they would have, not necessarily directly linked to what they have, but these are pluses. So you can tell the customer, okay, this device does this, or this product is going to give you this opportunity, or this service is going to give you this, and that. And then once you've given them the main, or targeted the main concerns or the main issues that brought the customer to you, for you to be able to work with them. So finding the pain points, working on the pain points, and then you then bring in the pluses that they would also get in addition to what exactly it is that you're resolving for them. Now, tip number 6, overcome objections. Now, objections is something that you would always meet when it comes to sales, no matter what you do. There are so many times I have had objections, but then you need to anticipate those objections. You need to be ready for such kinds of objections. So usually if you have a business or a product and it's kind of niche, everything is kind of niche. And so once you have that niche, you understand that product very well. And then you start to anticipate, okay, so what could be the reason why this customer would not go for this particular product or this service? And once you're able to do that, it puts you or makes you prepared. So whenever the customer comes and then you actually start to work with the customer, and then in the case where the customer has some concerns, you're able to address them and then resolve them, and then be able to put them at ease based on that objection that they had, and then basically giving them the information that they need in order to make them more calm and relaxed for that particular decision. So tip number 6, overcome objections. Now, if you're new here and you're really liking this video, consider hitting the like button, consider subscribing, and then maybe hit the notification bell icon so that in future uploads, you will be notified about our uploads. Now, let's move on to tip number 7. Tip number 7 is product knowledge updates. It's very important for you to be able to understand what updates are going on, because let's say, for example, if you're working with somebody in the IT industry or something like this, you want to make sure you're up to date with respect to updates, releases, the industry trends. You want to be updated on this kind of information. Why? Because that gives you or boosts your credibility with the customer when you're able to discuss these kind of things with them. So I remember in my case personally that I was in the middle of a sale one time when I was just an agent, where a customer asked a question. The customer came to the company, was trying to find something, but then there was an offer. Unfortunately, that offer had not been emailed to everyone, so we didn't know about it because it just updated it on the website. Somehow, I don't know, I believe the R&D team had to be informed to be able to send that out to everyone. So it ended up with the customer telling me something that I was not aware of, and then ended up investigating, ended the call, contacting the R&D team to understand what exactly is going on, and then later on understood that, oh, there was actually an offer like this that was going on, and I was not aware of it. Now, that is something you do not want to happen when you're in the middle of a sale. You want to be able to give the accurate information so that you become credible to that customer. So it's very important that we always make sure that we are up to date with respect to the knowledge regarding whatever niche business that you have, that you're trying to sell stuff to or sell something to a customer. Now, tip number 8, upselling and cross-selling. These are very crucial parts also, because there are instances where, for example, a person might come to you for something, and then you understand that, okay, if you have this, this is what you get, but then you can go in for this, and this is what you can get with that. So also focusing on the customer's needs, you're going to suggest to them things that will be better for them. So if a customer, and this is something that usually happens when you already have a customer who is already with you, who you've already built credibility with, which you or who you already know in general. And in so doing, you're in a position to be able to suggest to them the better alternative to what they currently have, and how best it would actually resolve or help them with respect to their business needs, be it a product. So for example, if it's a phone, you, based on the needs of the customer, you want to understand, okay, if you do this kind of business, do you want something that is going to be, for example, an Android, or you need an iPhone? If it's an Android, for example, what kind of situation is the person? Is the person into construction? Okay, so if you're into construction, that means that you would need something that will be durable in case it falls or something like this. So you want to find a particular device, or be able to sell something more, something in addition to it. So for example, a specific type of phone case that will protect the phone should it drop or something like that when he's on site. So basically that is what happens. So you're upselling the customer, or you're selling the customer some kind of alternative to what they have in order to enhance the overall experience for that customer. So that is tip number 8. Now, tip number 9, follow up. It's very important to follow up. There are instances where you might have a call with a customer and the deal is not closed immediately. So there are instances where you would have to call back, or you would need to communicate further with the customer. So you need to always follow up, establish a post-sale communication with the customer, and to ensure customer satisfaction, address any issues or concerns that they may have, create a positive relationship for potential future sales, because most sales are made by customers that you already have. So because it's more difficult for you to sell to a new customer than it is for you to sell to an already or an existing customer. Because your customer who is existent already knows you, already trusts you. So he already knows what you can do for him or her. And in so doing, by following up, you're doing or creating that kind of a professional environment for them to feel that confidence in you, that you know what exactly it is you're doing, and you follow up with respect to that sale. So it's very crucial that we always follow through on every interaction that we have with every customer. Now, tip number 10, closing techniques. Now, closing techniques is something that is very important. A lot of people fall short here because they go with the pitch and think the pitch is actually the closing, but it's not. So here you're mastering the art, or you need to master the art of guiding customers towards the purchase decision. So you're basically walking them through the steps on how to be able to make the purchase. So usually if I'm making a sale, and for example, I'm selling a product, I want to make sure that I'm taking the customer. Once I've sold the customer on the item, now I walk the customer through on how to make that purchase, or how to pay for that service, or what is needed to be done. And in so doing, walking him through, in the process of doing this, there are other things that I can add in. I can add in maybe some limited time offers, some incentives, and then also add in some clear calls to action that will actually lead the customer to make that purchase. So that is tip number 10. So I believe these are the 10 tips. A comprehensive guide to mastering phone ads, even when it's done over the phone remotely. So remember, it's not just about selling the product, it's about providing solutions to your customers no matter where they are. So it's about identifying their issues and providing a solution for them. So if you found these tips helpful, don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe for more content. Also hit the notification bell icon so that whenever we make another upload, you'll be notified of it. And thanks for joining us today at JBA Consults, and we'll see you on the next video. Happy selling over the phone.